meaningful action in the present. So hi again, y'all. Thanks so much for joining me. In less than 15 minutes, I'm going to be sharing with you what forecasting is and why it is important for your small business. So thanks for joining on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. And if you're watching this on the replay, you can type hashtag replay. Feel free to like and share this video if you get value from it. I'm Dr. P and I'm a strategic business coach, and I've been a school psychologist for about 10 years in K-12 schools. As a strategic business coach, I work with micro business owners to help them to scale their businesses by learning strategies that they can use to improve their goals, their processes, and their operations. So if you are a solo entrepreneur, that means you are also a micro business owner, just in case you are wondering what a micro business owner is. So today I wanted to talk to you about what forecasting is and why it is important for your business. So when we decided to start our own businesses, we started it filled with passion that we had about a specific, topic, skill, or service, right? We had this passion. Or we decided to start it because we have people in our lives who were telling us, hey, you're really good at this skill. Why don't you use that to start a business, right? So we went ahead and we started our businesses. But one of the things that we were unlikely told to do is to be sure to use forecasting as we grew our businesses. So when we were starting our business, right, we were told, and still are being told, about getting leads, getting prospects, revenue, new clients, referral partners, social media funding, marketing, and so much more. But it's really unusual if you were told about the role of forecasting, right? So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you what forecasting is and why it is important for the survival of your business. So let's go back to that quote from Paul Sappho that I mentioned at the beginning, right? He said that the goal of forecasting is not to predict the future, but to tell you what you need to know to take meaningful action in the present. So now let's think about that for a few seconds, right? Taking meaningful action in the present. So there's so much more, there's so much in that quote that we can use in our businesses. Ramon Jabari, thanks so much for joining. Just talking about forecasting in our businesses. I was just mentioning a quote by Paul Sappho saying the goal of forecasting is not to predict the future, but to tell you what you need to know to take meaningful action in the present. So when I first started my company and heard about forecasting, I honestly thought it was just only for accounting purposes. That's what I thought, right? And it was only after I started researching forecasting to use in my business that I realized the global benefit of actually doing forecasting, right? As I mentioned before, I spent 10 years working in K-12 schools in the US as a school psychologist and also as a special education administrator, right? And in those roles, I remember looking at a child's current performance, as well as their previous performance, and looking for some trends so that you can identify some weaknesses, but also to determine what you can use for future outcomes, right? When analyzing that information, I remember using spreadsheets and graphs because it was so much information that we were using to review so that we could be making decisions. And most importantly, so that we can make informed decisions about what we were going to be doing with that student moving forward, right? So those informed decisions included identifying the strategies that I was going to recommend to implement with the students to improve their performance. So in my forecasting research for my company, guess what I found out? I found out that forecasting in business is a quite similar process. So in an article on Investopedia by Alicia Tuyavila, forecasting was defined as a technique that uses historical data as inputs to make informed estimates that are predictive, in determining the direction of future trends. Andrew Beatty wrote a more recent article on Investopedia about forecasting. And in that article, Andrew stated that business forecasting is a process where we make informed guesses about certain business metrics, regardless of whether they reflect the specifics of a business, such as sales, growth, or predictions for the economy as a whole. You heard that part about the metrics. If you followed me, you know that I talk a lot about using metrics to make decisions about our businesses. So in an article on Business News Daily, Donna Fuscaldo defined forecasting as a process where the business owner examines past and present data to predict future financial performance in their company. So I really wanted to share those definitions with you just in case you didn't know what forecasting was. And by the way, that was the whole purpose of this video, to share what forecasting is so that I could really share with you why it is important for our businesses. So in business, right, forecasting and budgeting are not the same, but they complement each other. And with forecasting, you get to give your business, a foundation to work from. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy doing forecasting with micro business owners, because of that foundation part. Because as micro business owners, we might be looking to stay small, or we might have our heart set on this growth that we want to make in our company. But you know what? We all got to start somewhere. So understanding forecasting when your company is small is going to put you in a better position to understand it as your company grows. And it can even help you with how and when you grow your business, right? There are so many benefits of using forecasting in our businesses. So there are various methods that you can use to do forecasting. Those models do include qualitative and quantitative type approaches. But today, I am not going to be focusing on those types of models, because I really just wanted to share with you what forecasting is and why it is important for our businesses. So I've already touched on the definitions of forecasting, and I really want to get into a conversation about those benefits of forecasting, right? So let's talk about those benefits of forecasting in our small businesses so we can learn why it is important for our businesses. One of the main benefits of business forecasting is that it results in us as business owners being able to develop business strategies to help us improve our businesses. So I don't know if you're familiar with it, but QuickBooks has an article where they list using forecasting in our business to help with improving cash flow issues. And this includes also getting you prepared for some unexpected or unplanned, tax bills. Because when you're doing the forecasting, you might learn about possible tax bill that you didn't realize that you're going to be facing. So as I was mentioning in the article from QuickBooks, they talk about the fact that when we use forecasting, it can help us with improving cash flow issues. And I don't know if you know, but cash flow issues is one of the reasons why many businesses fail within their first 5 years and also within their first 3 years. So if we can get a handle on our cash flow, we're in a better position, to get that foundation. Because remember, when you do forecasting, it helps you to get that foundation that you need to grow your business. So really wanted to mention that article from QuickBooks. If you want the link, you can send me a DM and I'll share that link with you. So with forecasting, it makes sense that it can help us with cash flow issues, because as you're going through that process with forecasting, you end up learning how to allocate your current budgets while planning for future expenses over a specific amount of time. So are you seeing how this can help you with your cash flow issues? If not, think of it this way. If forecasting helps you to learn your current budget, to learn about your current budget, this means that you're learning about how much money you're currently spending and also how much money you're making. Then when you start looking at your future expenses, you're in a better position to be able to see whether or not your current revenue will cover those expenses. Hope you're still following me. So therefore, you're going to know whether or not that shiny object that you're like, oh my gosh, I really need to have, if it is truly something you can spend money on right now. Because again, when you have cash flow issues, it typically means that you're spending by far more money than you are bringing in. And then when that happens, we end up in significant amount of debt, and it makes it difficult for us to come out of it, right? And I didn't say impossible, I did say it makes it difficult to come out of it, because there's always a way that we can get ahead, right? So when you are looking at your forecast, this is how your forecast can help you with making better decisions about how you spend your money. right? So another benefit of forecasting is, and I kind of alluded to it, is planning. And if you follow me or if you check out my website, you know that I'm very big on planning. The services we offer include strategic planning, business planning, contingency planning, action planning. So with forecasting, it can help you with planning for your business. So let's say that thing you want to spend money on is not a shiny object, but really and truly it is a resource that you have actually identified is necessary for you to obtain in order to accomplish your goal. So when you're doing forecasting, you're going to be in a better position to see when you're going to be able to make that purchase for that resource, right? So again, a benefit of forecasting, it helps you with your planning. Another benefit of forecasting is that it helps you to analyze your predicted results against what is happening in your current marketplace. This can help you to stay competitive in your industry, because each of us, we have businesses in different industries, or we might actually be in the same industry. That doesn't matter. The point is that we all have a value proposition. We all have a competitive edge. So when we do forecasting in our businesses, especially as micro business owners, when we do forecasting, we are in a better position to understand what is happening in the market out there and what changes do we need to make on our end so that we can stay competitive in that market. So I hope you have seen the benefits of forecasting. This is really just an introductory video on forecasting, about what it is, to say what it is and why it is important for our businesses. And I just want to leave you with this. Even though forecasting is a tedious process, the results can be very beneficial for making decisions in our businesses that are going to get us closer to that success that we're aiming for. So yes, forecasting can be tedious, but it can provide such great benefits for our businesses, right? And it can help us survive not just our first 5 years, but it can help us survive, our first 10 years or more, and more is what I should say in that. So if you aren't already doing forecasting in your business, I highly recommend that you sit down and find the time, put it in your schedule where you can sit. If you're a micro business owner and it's just you and your business, then you're working on this. If you have a team of less than 10 people, that you guys are working together to go through this forecasting process, because it is going to end up being beneficial for your business. So I'm Dr. Priscilla Kuster with Priscilla Kuster Consulting Solutions. Thank you so very much for joining me. Remember, solutions plus actions equals results, y'all. Bye.